So the nominee has to be, oh, by the way, we're recording. The nominees have to
Vincent.
be under 25. They have to have been employed at a manufacturing firm for at least 6 months at the time of nomination. And the nominee must have contributed to the success of the company in a substantial way. And we're looking to make these awards to recognize these young people in manufacturing in an effort to interest young people in going into careers in manufacturing. Debbie, did I say everything?
Yeah, that's great. Good information.
Can I add one more thing to it, Molly?
Where'd she go?
I don't know. Well, then Debbie, I'm gonna just do it.
Yeah,
ahead.
you have permission to just go for it.
Hey Pat, I see you, by the way. Good to see you, man. They don't technically have to be a registered apprentice. It prefer that they do because it kind of helps like with everything that we're doing.
Sure.
But last I met with the group, it wasn't a requirement. We really want to just bring more awareness to the industry and the professionals as a whole.
Great.
And then through that, it could create more apprenticeships as a
Right.
result too. Yeah.
Good. Well, and we'll be, as we get closer to like what that's going to look like and how MCIE can support that, we'll re-announce and start collecting those applications through Charles. And then we'll set up an event to honor those candidates, those awardees, if you will, and maybe do that in conjunction with Charles's team. So many of you know Charles Hinkles, who's the regional apprenticeship guru.
So Debbie, I'm curious, MCIE now, what's the change in employment
Well,
status?
Yeah, it's
I'll announce that. Okay.
Oh, she's back.
I'm back. I know what button I hit. It's like I keep on talking, and all of a sudden I'm realizing nobody's saying anything. Sorry about that. Anyway, notoriously fast with my fingers on the screen. I'm Molly Burgess, the Executive Director of the Manufacturers Council, and we're glad that you're all here. We're going to have a few announcements before we get started. And you may already notice that these meetings are being recorded. We do post them at our website, mfgcouncilie.com, on the following Monday after the event under the events tab, so that you're able to replay it again or show to some of your co-workers. This also means you do not need to feverishly take notes during the event, and you can sit back and you can sip your favorite brew. We want to take this time to recognize our major sponsor, CMTC, California Manufacturing Technology Consulting. They have been a valuable resource to us and to many of you. And we're going to share a little bit more in the next meeting, some of those services that they have. In the meantime, you are welcome to visit their website at the link that we're going to put in the chat box. I think Vincent's going to put it there. If you don't know what it is, Vincent, I'll stick it in later. And then, as Steve alluded to, we want to welcome Debbie Smith to the MCIE team. She has recently retired from her previous position, and we are thrilled to grab her. She's been really on the MCIE team before there was an official name to the group. She's one of the original partners dating back more than 18 years when the grassroots group got started. And as a matter of fact, they were meeting to discuss workforce shortages, energy costs, and those are some of the same problems that we're still having today. She helped to establish the annual manufacturing summit in the Inland Empire, which we ran for 8 years prior to COVID. And she is our new community outreach director. Everybody welcome Debbie to the MCIE.
Hi, Debbie. Yay.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
We're so excited to have you, Debbie.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the welcome, and I'm glad to be here.
She's been really busy already. So we also want you to know that the MCIE is going to be creating a new series of videos about manufacturing. And our goal with these is to show the public how manufacturing has changed. And it typically isn't a dirty job due to automation. We want students and their parents and teachers to know that there are great jobs and careers here in manufacturing. And you have told us, you manufacturers have told us that your biggest challenge is hiring and retaining employees. So by sharing these videos, we hope to create interest in manufacturing jobs for you. You can take a look at some of the videos that we've already done, and you can showcase your company as a great place to come and work. And then you can use the video that we do as a recruiting tool on your website, while also encouraging others to get into manufacturing by highlighting what it is that you do. The only cost to you is that we would like your support through membership in the MCIE, which is currently free, and by spreading the word to other manufacturers in the region and participating in occasional surveys. And so if you're interested, please put a note in the chat box below, or reach out to us by email, and we'll follow up with you. We are getting kind of filled up, so we'd like to know, and as I said, these are free to you. I'd like to know if you're interested. Our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, April 28th, and we will be just discussing transportation and port-related disruptions. And then we have a May meeting lined up on Thursday, May 18th, and we'll have Steve Harrington speak on supply chain issues. Many of you know Steve. He is a senior advisor for the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council and the industry liaison for the National Center for Supply Chain Automation. So please watch for those upcoming invitations and on our website under the events page. And we try to keep our meetings around the fourth Thursday of the month, but sometimes we have to work with our speakers' schedules and they get changed, but that's when you should be expecting a meeting. So is Melissa from Phoenix Helmets here? I'd like to introduce her. Phoenix is our manufacturer of the month, and Melissa's going to feature their products and tell you a little bit about their company and what they do, and give you the opportunity to show off your products. You have about 2 or 3 minutes. So go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you, Molly. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share a little bit about our organization. I am our Chief Transformation Officer with Phoenix Technology, Inc. We are a manufacturer of high quality firefighting helmets, and we're located in Riverside, California. We've been in business for about 50 years. So as an American-made manufacturer, we do like to source all of our products that we can locally, the majority of which are in California, many of which are in the Inland Empire. Some of the things that make us really unique, go ahead and go on to the next slide, is our product line. We were actually founded by firefighters. So these are our products. The first 2 series is what we started with that you see on top. It's the ones you're probably most familiar with and that you've seen on the news many, many times. The ones below, we have the traditional composite helmet, which is made to look in the style of the old tradition, which is the traditional leather helmet you see on the other side. And yes, that is actually made with real leather. It does have an extra protective shell on the inside for the thermoplastic dome. What makes us unique from the firefighters' experience is that they also designed it with a lightweight ergonomic feel to it. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And that is something that sets us apart from the competitors, is the way the helmet's going to sit on the head, the way it's going to feel, the balance it's going to have, and then the flexibility and the ease of use with the product overall. What I really want to talk to you about, and what I'm most excited about, if you'll go to the next slide, is actually our Phoenix. Oh, I forgot to mention, we have an international presence. So we are not just within the United States, but we do sell on the international scale as well. The first helmet we displayed is the most popular on the international side of things. Go ahead and go to the next slide, which is what I'm most excited about, which is our Phoenix family. We were lucky to be one of the few companies, I think, that actually grew through COVID. And we actually moved last year as well, to be able to bring everybody back in-house. Our staff didn't want to stay virtual. We wanted to return to office and share in the incredible culture. About 5 years ago, we entered a lean transformation. It's had a lot of helps from some of the partners at MCIE to get us started a few years before that. But really, the focus has been our culture with the transformation. And one of our values is to leave the world a better place. So we've started reopening and offering our tours again. They're immersive tours where you will come in, you'll get a feel of our culture, you'll spend the morning with us, you'll learn a little bit about lean, how we do things, learn from our failures, learn hopefully more from our successes, and really get an opportunity to see what it's about. Go ahead and go to the next slide. We do smaller tours where it could be anywhere from 4 people. We can move up to larger tours to accommodate more as well. So if you are interested, go ahead and go to the next slide. You are welcome to email lean@phoenixfirehelmets.com and we can get you scheduled in one of the tours. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly as well if you have any questions on any other aspect of our business.
Thank you, Melissa. I think we ought to have an MCIE tour come. What's your maximum size?
You know, we, especially the new facility, we could probably accommodate a pretty decent sized group. A few years back, we hosted the Global Lean Leadership Summit and brought hundreds through our old, much smaller facility. So just give us a call, either connect with me or the Lean and we can see what we can do.
Wonderful, thanks. And thanks for being with us and being our featured manufacturer this month. We appreciate it, Melissa.
Could I ask her a question?
Sure.
Yeah. Are you having any supply chain issues sourcing materials?
Absolutely. I don't think there's a single person out there that can answer no to that question. Unfortunately, we are. Yes.
So I'm going to move ahead and introduce our guest speaker, Steve Terrell. Some of you know Steve, and he is the maintenance manager at Mitsubishi Cement Corporation and chair of the High Desert Manufacturers Council. He also sits on the board of the MCIE and is chair of the IDEA Apprenticeship Committee. He wears a lot of hats. And Steve is going to update us on how things are going in the High Desert. So Vincent, would you go ahead and pull up his PowerPoint slides, and Steve, take it away.
Thank you, Molly. Yeah, I am in the High Desert, and you'll notice from that little map that we have there, I don't have any of the lower inland empire in that picture because we are a very unique entity up here in the High Desert. We have the Cajon Pass that we have to travel through to get our goods and services via rail, via truck, or they can come in from the east, from the west, or from the north. But Mitsubishi Cement sits on Highway 18 on the backside to Big Bear, about 8 miles out of Lucerne Valley, which is the closest little town to us. And what we do is manufacture cement. So if anybody can put in the chat box what the 4 ingredients in Portland cement are, then we can offer you a tour of our facility. That is the quiz for the day. Go ahead. No Googling it, Molly. That does not count. So go to the next slide, please. One of the things we are challenged with is talent, and local talent, skilled talent is very hard to come by. We have a graying workforce, as indicated by my hairstyle. We are struggling with trying to find that. So we don't have a skilled labor pool to draw from. We've tried poaching from other companies to backfill positions. Obviously, that does not work well because you're not really assisting with the overall situation. So what we have to do is try to figure out, well, we can bring somebody in from out of state. We've got a lot of people that are getting out of the military here locally. We can try doing that. And we did try that. We've done pretty much everything that you see there as far as trying to figure out how to get employees into our area and keep them. What we found with hiring from outside was that they would come for their obligations so that we would be able to recoup their relocation expenses, and then they'd be off to wherever they were. Well, that really wasn't working. So next slide, please. We decided we'd go looking for talent in many different ways. And with the aerospace industry and obviously the rocket science that we have up here in the high desert, we thought that we might be able to take off and capture some of that talent that's here locally. We have General Atomics, we have X Quadrum, we have Deval Rubber, we have Cemex Cement, Cal Portland Cement, Mitsubishi Cement. We have a wide variety of manufacturers that are here. And that's really what the challenge is. Go on to the next slide. We have a population of about 400,000 here in the high desert. That includes Adelanto, Apple Valley, Hesperia, Victorville, and even Barstow. Barstow has a community college, Victor Valley has a community college. So we looked at different ways of trying to incorporate the community colleges and figure out, well, maybe we've got some folks in that pipeline that we might be able to hire and put to work. And that's worked for a limited amount of time. We developed some training programs that we would try to get into their 4-credit programs. And the hardest part of that was trying to get our students enrolled in the classes. They're competing with everybody else. They're trying to go to night school. They're working all day. Sometimes we have 12-hour days. How am I going to get these people to get adequate family and work balance so that they're happy and can continue on with Mitsubishi Cement? So I relied upon an old model that we had, and that was the Manufacturers Council of the Inland Empire. I used to be with a company called Cal Portland Cement located in Colton, California. Many of you knew Mount Slover as it slowly diminished, had a big flag on the hill. We were real proud of that, but that eventually went away. But during that process, we partnered with the workforce development and the community college at Chaffey College and also the community college at Victor Valley College. So we had a mechanical program at Valley and we had an electrical program at Chaffey. Well, through the course of growing that MCIE, we'd go off and we would beg for money basically every year so we could continue to offer this program.
Looks like we lost Steve.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was just my sound
Oh,
or,
good.
You froze?
Yeah.
Vincent, are you able to give him a call on his cell phone?
He may be trying to access again.
Or Debbie, do you
Sure.
have his cell phone? I'm not at my desk.
just 1 second here.
He may not, like happened to me, he may not know that he's off.
Yeah, it looks like he's off, so he will know that he has to rejoin. Give me just a minute.
Wouldn't you know it, right in the middle of my presentation, my computer decides to reset.
Oh,
Oh, no. Okay,
So,
we knew you'd
I'm
come back.
I'm back on my phone. So
oh,
again, we've got 400,000 local population. We partnered with Valley College. We partnered with Chaffey College to develop a program that we would kind of modify to meet our incumbent needs. That program developed into a consortium of community colleges getting the Intech Center. And as many of you know, the Intech Center has been a wonderful addition to the Inland Empire for training industrial electrical, industrial mechanical, and now we have the mechatronics programs. So as Debbie alluded to, and also as Molly alluded to, I'm on it's called the IDEA Committee, which is the apprenticeship committee for local manufacturers. So I said, well, if that's working so well down in the Inland Empire, and I have an economically deprived area here in the high desert, why don't I get together with some of the manufacturers in the high desert and see what their needs are? So we kind of worked with Victor Valley College and the foundation and developed I guess it was more of a council to give them what our needs were. We eventually moved that into the High Desert Manufacturers Council, became independent of Victor Valley College Foundation, and developed an apprenticeship program that is a MOU with Chaffey College, the Intech Center, and moved that up to Victor Valley College. That Victor Valley College, I'm actually known, I think, more as a squeaky wheel because I went before the Workforce Development Board, asked them for a considerable amount of money so that we could emulate the Intech Center at Victor Valley College. They didn't tell me no, but they didn't tell me yes. Victor Valley College put their money where their mouth was and said, okay, we can assist you. We got some technical equipment and some curriculum, and we bought it. And then we really didn't have anything to do. We worked with BBC and the lower campus to develop and really improve the welding program. Troy Coons has been instrumental. You can go to the next slide too. And we wanted to, get some more money, get our community outreach, figure out how we can develop the opportunities, because a lot of people had a hard time going up and down the Cajon Pass to get to the Intech Center. It's a 40-mile drive. It can be a 40-minute drive. It can be a 2-hour drive. It can be a 4-hour drive. John knows that quite well because he lives down in the Inland Empire and his business is up here in the high desert. So for me, it made a lot of sense to try to get a technical training center opened up, and it made a lot of sense to partner with the community colleges. And that's what we did. We partnered with Victor Valley College and also with Barstow Community College, and we got the High Desert Training Center opened up. And we have actually been able to put together a training program for both incumbent, and we also have our first new graduating class of industrial mechanics that are going to be looking for work. So if you have positions that you're looking for, industrial mechanics, you can get with myself or with Frank Castanos, who's also on this call, and we can get you some information on those candidates that are going to be coming up. So that's really how we did a lot of the development of the program. We copied and emulated which was a success for the Intech Center, Chaffey College, and Valley College. So once we got that done, we said, well, we need to expand this a little more because it's not just the mining sector that needs it. It's not just the firefighters, the nurses. What are some other areas where we can continue to grow? And we reached out to General Atomics, we reached out to X Quadrum, and very, very generous support from the company of X Quadrum and Eric Schmidt. We had been in contact with the Sterling Development Group for the old March Air Force Base, and they have a large facility out there at the Southern California Logistics Airport, where we've got some major businesses coming in. You can go to the next slide. And those major businesses, we're trying to figure out how can we then partner with not just the program that you have developed at the Intech Center, but how can we get A&P mechanics? And those are mechanics that can work on airplanes that have to have certifications through the FAA. How can we get certifications for our nursing students? How can we get certifications for food service and hospitality workers? So that developed into the High Desert Manufacturers Council and expanded. Now we have to represent both large corporations as well as mom and pop. And I think we've had a good success with that and really had a lot of buy-in with regards to those manufacturers that are up here and how we can do that. So then we said, all right, well, we need to do a little bit more than that. We need to now reach out to our K through 12 program and figure out how we can develop certificate programs, because not all these kids, and we did a little research, and 60% of the local high school graduates within 6 years of graduating from high school
do not have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. Yet we focus so much on this 4-year college, go to college, go to college, go to college, and yet we're not reaching over half of the population that are our future. So what do we need to do? So we also have what's up here in the high desert called the Mountain Desert Career Pathways. And off that, we had developed the Mountain Desert Economic Partnership. So we could develop a career and college readiness program. So if you're not ready for college, you don't know what you want to do, you have opportunities, because with 400,000 local population, there's a developed workforce. They just need to be trained. Rio Tinto is a local mining company up here. It used to be known as US Borax, and they put out a media blitz a few years back, letting everybody know that they were hiring skilled labor. They had over 700 applicants lined up around the corner at what is the Holiday Inn here off of Palmdale Road in Victorville. And they had to stop taking applications because there were just so many people that were trying to get this job. They only had one potential qualified applicant from that entire group. So that told me there was a number of people up here that were willing to work, but didn't have the skill set to get that job. So that's how we've developed that training curriculum for the High Desert Training Center, the partnership with the community colleges, the feedback between the Manufacturers Council, you can go to the next slide, and the local businesses, because those partnerships between the Manufacturers Council, of the Inland Empire, the High Desert Manufacturers Council, the workforce development, the community colleges, that all is a big part of how we can continue to develop the economic stability of this region. It works for the High Desert, it works for the Inland Empire, it works for everybody. It's a good model to follow. And that's what we tried to convey. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's a struggle dealing with the community colleges. Sometimes it's a struggle dealing with the county government. But everybody pretty much leaves their agenda at the door and works together because they know that that's what's needed, both for those family sustainable wages, for that long-term employee. Because if you learn here in the local community, you can work here in the local community. That means you're going to stay here in that local community, and eventually you're going to end up playing in that local community. So that's that learn, work, stay, and play, which is what we really find is going to be that long-term employee that will not leave after the commitment is done, or if they go and get their education, they're going to come back to the High Desert, or they're going to come back to the Inland Empire, and they're going to continue to buy a house, buy the groceries, buy the cars, and develop that local one. Next slide. It fits very well also with the workforce development plan. So if you look at the overall 5-year, 10-year plan for workforce development, what we're doing with the community colleges, what we're doing with the manufacturers councils is meeting that need of identifying where those jobs are, what those wages are, and figuring out how to develop a training program, because the community colleges work extremely well with the local manufacturers. So if you have a need, your need is not going to be alone. Your need is going to be combined with somebody else's need that closely matches what yours is. You're going to develop a training program, and you're going to be able to upskill your existing workforce or find a skill from a program that's currently in use from that community college district, from that training center, and put them to work for you. And with that, I entertain any questions.
Steve, do you have any industrial electricians graduating soon?
So my industrial electricians that I have going through the program are incumbent employees, and they are going to graduate through that. We have not put together an industrial electrical training program yet for the High Desert Training Center. Most of those are still coming out of the InTech Center.
Okay.
You would
Steve, you,
take his incumbents, wouldn't you? I'm just kidding.
What's
Say
that?
that, Debbie?
I said you would still take his incumbents, wouldn't you?
Well,
No,
certainly.
remember, one of the things that I strive not to do is poach from other employers.
I
No.
have a question, Steve. You mentioned something about a certificate program. Were you talking about that in regard to elementary school or up through high school? And what does that look like? What can they be certified in?
So through the high school level, we've partnered with, and now it strikes, I can't remember the name of the program, but there was, we worked with the high school programs so that they can have something that we as an industry would say, this is acceptable to us, as far as a written as well as a practical demonstration of a skill set. So when they give me this particular certificate, that the local high schools up here, and I use that as the Mountain Desert Career Pathways, they have developed that program. Thank you, Matt. It's Precision Exams. But Matt, if I'm not mistaken, Precision Exams is now graduated into another program. But back before Matt Wells was the director of MDCP, there was another gentleman by the name of Scott, and he interviewed a wide variety of the manufacturers who were up here. That included the nursing program, so that you had your medical, you had your hospitality, you had your automotive, and you had your industrial and light commercial. And Precision Exams was presented, and they have a great program. And that's the certificate I'm talking about. When a high school student graduates with that, I know what their skill set is. We're also articulating, if that's the right word for it, between the high school and the college so they can get college credit while they're still in high school, taking these approved programs. For right now, we have it for industrial, electrical, mechanical, and a few other programs. But obviously, I'm most adept with the electrical and mechanical programs. So did that answer your question with regard to the certificate, Molly?
Yes, but except that, are you planning anything for the elementary school level?
So the elementary school level, what we're trying to do right now is reach out to them for exposure, get them an idea as to what the local community offers as far as employment, because there's a wide variety. So we reached out to the students. We've reached out to the CTE, Career Technical Education instructors. We've got most of the superintendents on board. They sit on a lot of the advisory committees. What we're trying to do now is get all the counselors on board as well. And Matt just put in the chat that U-Science is the certificate program that is Precision Exams is graduating to or moving to. But we're finding that the last step, besides the parents, obviously, for their kids, is the counselors to make sure that they know what programs are available. A lot of students, I'm finding, are not taking the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery or the ASVAB test because of that first two words in that test, Armed Services. A lot of parents don't want their kids going into the military, or they have this military, and I don't, obviously, I'm a military vet, but that if we could redo that aptitude test and find what these students are having fun at, because if you're having fun at something, it's not a job, it becomes something you can make money at and you enjoy, and you can get up and be excited about going to work and being a contributor. The other thing we developed with the high school students, and one thing all the manufacturers were complaining about early on, were what we originally called soft skills. Everybody knows them as I'm on my phone all day, or I'm ignoring, I don't communicate. So we've modified that into what we call essential skills, communication, collaboration, and you can get those 6 essential skills that we've identified, and we get that information to the counselors as well, so that K through 12 curriculum, or at least the exposure to what me as an employer, what most of the employers, manufacturers that we have, expect from their employees. Show up on time, play well with others, don't be afraid to communicate a good idea or a bad idea, because all of us have something to contribute, and you can't do that when you're plugged into a phone or some type of social media.
Thanks, Steve. Anybody else have questions?
And I apologize for my technical difficulties.
Well, so thank you very much, Steve, for doing this. Wait a minute, you haven't told us one very important thing.
And that is?
When are you having your grand opening?
Oh, well, if I had my computer back, Frank, I'm going to have to throw that over to you so you can tell me when the grand opening for the High Desert Training Center will be, and that's going to be at the Southern California Logistics Airport. And I don't want to give the wrong date or time, but Frank, help me out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I realized on the email that I sent you, I don't think I gave you the date. I think I just gave you the time. So pick a time, pick a day. I'm just kidding. It's going to be on May 19th at 2 p.m. And I'll type my name in the chat right now if you want to be added to that list. And we'll be sending out official invitations in the very near future. So again, I'll type in the date, time, and my email in the chat. And we would love to have everybody. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So what I didn't mention, one other thing there was Exquadrum and ended up buying that entire building and donating, very similar to the Intech Center with California Steel did, but they bought the building. They gave a 10-year lease at $1 a year. VVC, Victor Valley College, put a lot of the infrastructure in, about $2 million worth of infrastructure. We have all that equipment that we bought for the mechanical, and now we have the electrical. So it is a wonderful donation that Exquadrum did. They actually moved their headquarters into the south side of that building. So the north side of that building is where the High Desert Training Center is. And you are all welcome to come up and see how wonderful it is.
Thanks for the invitation, Steve. I hope I didn't force that out of you. But
No,
we
I forgot
appreciate
about it because all of my notes are gone because my computer disappeared. I've got a little phone that I'm trying to do this on.
You did a great job, by the way, on a little phone. And we appreciate all that you do. Next up, we are really pleased to be able to work with CMTA, California Manufacturing and Technology Association, which is the group that works at Sacramento for all manufacturers. And they've been a partner with us in an informal way. And we are looking toward making that a little bit more formal. But how great it is to be able to talk directly with Sacramento when you come to our meetings. So I would like to introduce Lawrence Gaden. He's with CMTA, and he's just dropping by to give us a quick update on important things that are happening up in the legislature. And I have to give a disclaimer that the MCIE can't tell you which way to vote, but we can educate you and give you tools and keep you up to date on issues through CMTA's work. So Lawrence, I understand you're here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sorry for my tardiness, just hopping off a Zoom. So I know you guys are excited for some updates. The first thing I want to give you a general update on is everybody's favorite topic, OSHA and COVID-19 regulations. There was an OSHA, I believe the last time we spoke was the February meeting, and we were anticipating having basically a vote on the new regulations in the March 17th meeting. Actually, that did not happen. So we're not going to get a new OSHA vote until the April 21st meeting. And basically what that allowed is, so basically allowed some time for the language to change on the final readoption of the ETS. And we're expected to see that draft maybe at some point early next week. So they'll have a little bit of time to review it before the meeting on the 21st. And really some of the expected changes that we expect to see from that new draft is really kind of addressing some of the discrepancies as far as masking requirements and getting that in line with the governor's executive order that I mentioned to you guys last time. And then also some language around exclusion timelines within a new draft. And then there also are some few other kind of just questions regarding exclusion pay, and then Section C, as well as that they'll change that to the IIPP-based reporting aspect. And as I mentioned, basically that extra time is kind of to allow OSHA and the staff to revise the draft, kind of better reflect some of the masking policies and get those discrepancies kind of settled in. And like I said, there also will be some potential other changes in the wing as well. But yeah, like I said, we're expecting to see that draft language at some point next week. And when I get my hands on it, I'll be providing a summary and kind of a little outline to our members. And I'd be happy to provide that to you as well, Molly, and so you can get that out to the group. And just for those who aren't familiar as well, the governor did issue an executive order almost a little bit over a month ago. And basically what he did in that executive order is applied some of the CDPH and CDC guidelines to the workplace, essentially changing some of the kind of baseline COVID-19 regulations. The two biggest changes, kind of worth noting for you guys, is it lifted the requirements for masking for unvaxxed folks for just essentially day-to-day work. So basically, you kind of effectively took out the required masking for the unvaxxed. There still are some requirements for masking as far as outbreaks and some other kind of specific scenarios. But the day-to-day masking for unvaxxed folks within the workplace ended with that executive order. And then it also, like I mentioned earlier, extended the duration of the current ETS. So instead of voting in that March meeting, they'll be able to vote in April and give a little bit more time and clarity for the standards board to get that text more in line with CDPH guidance. And one just important thing to note with the EO and current ETS. So what we're seeing in that language when we anticipate to see next week still does not eliminate any county or local requirements. So I know kind of depending on where you folks are, your counties kind of have some additional requirements based on, what the situation is looking like. I think we're at a point now where the situation is kind of looking good throughout the state. So it's not as big as a concern as it was a few weeks ago, but just something of note, what we'll see does not fully eliminate any local or county requirements that they have for the workplace. That's the kind of biggest thing from the OSHA front for now. Like I said, I'll be able to kind of give a, kind of a deeper analysis once I see the final draft of that language. And the other thing that I want to kind of bring up for you guys, something that I know a little lighter, we're working on a really, really big bill. I know you guys have heard me talk about it a bunch, AB 1951, what we're calling the MADE exemption, manufacturing attraction and development exemption. So basically what that is, AB 1951 is a full sales and use tax exemption for the purchase of manufacturing equipment, something that really puts California in line with 30 other states and really tries to stop that pattern we're seeing, invent here, build elsewhere. Really kind of a step to encourage our state manufacturers to really kind of get, involved in the mass production. Obviously you guys produce, but we really want to kind of step up the scale of production that we see in our state. And I think this for us is really first kind of huge step into doing that. Like, as I mentioned, gets us in line with 30 other states. One of the important things in this investment into the next generation of manufacturing is the backfill provision. So as you guys know, with any exemption credit, there is a potential dip in what we see in local funds or local revenue from sales and use tax. So within AB 1951, we actually have a really kind of unique time right now with the surplus and kind of where we're at towards the end of this pandemic. Gives basically in AB 1951, there's a subvention provision that would allow the legislator to basically, one, calculate all of the potential funds to be lost in that investment in manufacturing, depending on where your county is, and then it'll give the legislator the option to what they classify as a subvention, but basically get those funds dispersed to each individual city or county based on what they've missed. And I know I use the word lost in quotes because it's like I said, it's an investment. You're not really getting anything unless you put the money in and put the investment into that community and that workforce. And like I said, you guys know about the manufacturing multiplier effect. For every job we have, we support at least 2.5 others in other industries. And that's kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing this as this bill is an opportunity to really kind of incentivize and create some more high wage opportunities, uplift really all of you guys' regional economies, including the Inland Empire, and really kind of support the growth of our state as we reach this endemic stage. That bill is bill's in the Assembly Rev and Tax. We're anticipating it being set for the 18th. We're shooting for that second to last Assembly Committee date for that committee. So a lot more to come. We're currently gathering some support. If you guys have any other additional questions about the bill or would like to get involved, it's something that positively affects everybody on this call. Feel free to reach out and I can get, whether it be a draft letter or some additional information, a one page or any way you guys want to get involved and potentially support. I'd be more than happy to help you. One piece I want to acknowledge, like I said, we touched on what could be lost from the sales and use tax revenue, but it's one thing is kind of clear to make. Manufacturing only accounts for about 6% of sales and use tax revenue in the state. So, when folks try to kind of throw that around and, throw that argument out, you're really, it's a small chunk and it's really an investment into our state and investment into the future, kind of what we have going on. Like I said, we are the nation's largest manufacturer and the nation's largest innovator. Like I said, the trend that we've seen really before COVID and exacerbated in the pandemic of invent here, build there is something we're trying to get rid of. And it's really important for us that, this bill is about the people in the state and not just the machines. Like I said, you only get the exemption if you're investing in California, investing in one of our regional economies. So it's not just a handout, puts us in line with 30 other states and keeps us competitive. Even though we are, kind of lapping our competition in some ways, we're falling behind in some other ways. So we're going to try to clean that up with this bill. But happy to answer any questions you guys might have about the bill or provide any additional insider information.
Lawrence?
Yes, Mr. Wallace.
Just curious, when you first, I think it was last month's meeting, you announced this bill that was being proposed on the sales tax credit, sales and use tax credit. What is the sentiment in the legislature at this point? Do you have a feel for that? You had quite a list of sponsors or co-sponsors of the legislation, which crossed, well, it looked like a pretty good list. Does it appear like that will pass, or do you have any feel for it?
It does. I mean, I'm not in the game of gambling, but if I had to place a bet, I'd place a bet on the bill passing. What I will say is we've received a lot of support from the legislature. We have 11 co-authors, and it's also been listed as a priority for the New Dems, one of their top priorities this year. So we have a good base of legislators who are supportive of the idea and understand the timing. The one key for us, I would say the one kind of roadblock or impediment that we will see a little bit down the road is we'll hear a little bit of fight from the local folks. Like I said, they are concerned. Whenever you folks hear tax credit, tax exemption, we're going to automatically hear some folks pop up with some stuff to say. But we're working with them to address that, kind of get ahead of that early. And like I said, in theory, we've already addressed it in our language with the subvention process, but we're kind of still taking on some different parts and different perspectives to make sure we get the, I would say the one group that may have some issues with the bill, we're going to kind of get them heard and make sure they're kept whole in the process. But yeah, as far as the legislature goes, they are very supportive of the idea. We're actually gathering a few more co-authors. And as I mentioned, it's a priority for the New Dems. And typically, their priorities kind of lead the agenda for legislator. So we're happy to be in that class. So yeah, definitely looked at positively from the legislature so far.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions for Lawrence? Hearing none. We have with us today Marianne Johnson and Shanice Johnson from the San Bernardino County Workforce Development Department. And Marianne, would you like to give us an update on what's going on?
I sure can. Sorry, I had to step away for a moment. Today
Okay.
is actually officially the last day of our Prison to Employment grant, which has been a regional grant. And our coworker from Riverside just showed up with a little celebration basket for us. So I'm sorry. And then I'm like, I need to do an update. Hang on. So she's still here. That's how well we work together. We celebrate the endings of things too. But that's just one of the many projects we've got going on. We are in huge grant writing mode right now. Riverside submitted on behalf of the region an apprenticeship grant that they turned in on Tuesday, which is about 1.8 million. Manufacturing is included in that in order to develop some more apprenticeships. It has to be for new programs, which can also be new employers. So more info to come on that. We were asked to apply for that one, so we are very optimistic that we're going to be getting that one. It also has cybersecurity, which is also key for manufacturers. As we've learned, I think through a lot of the pandemic, that's super important. So there may be opportunities for you all to have some interns or pre-apprentices to be able to assist your company in looking at kind of your security and where you are and where you might have some threats there. So more to come on that one, but we're excited around that. We are working with, Shanice and I are working with our community colleges. There is a joint grant opportunity that came out that they've called Regional Equity and Recovery Partnerships, where there is funding coming to the workforce boards. And then also for whatever projects we list with the colleges, those colleges can access additional funds through the state chancellor's office. So we did meet this morning, and we are identifying the industrial maintenance, mechanic, and machining programs as one of the 4 that we are going to put funding towards. We're talking about what that's going to look like, because we really want to make sure we're supporting employers. So it may be doing something like OJTs for those folks or internships if we think that that's a need. So we're having some conversations around what exactly we're going to fund with that project, but we're absolutely open to kind of hearing what some of your needs are. So just know that we're in the process for that. And that one's it's about $1.5 million by the time you add in the workforce and community college piece. What we heard from the vice chancellor at the state chancellor's office on that is that this is the first round, and it seems like if they can figure out how to make this actually work, this is going to be an ongoing thing, because this is coming through state general fund as a method to support employers and businesses and make sure folks are getting good jobs, which we know that you all offer. So that is coming as well. So those are the two big things that we are working on. We've still got our fingers crossed on a Good Jobs Challenge. So we did get that fully submitted. I think a lot of you did letters for us. Thank you. We had almost 100 letters when we submitted. We also have our local legislators know about it. They're aware, they're tracking it for us, which we always think helps. We are in the process of converting that grant application into a high road training partnership one also, which we were asked to apply for by the State Workforce Board. So more to come. Every grant we're doing right now has got manufacturing in it. So know that we are trying to work with you and get more funding. I'm thrilled to hear you're working on some videos. We want to get some more videos going for you and help fund that and fund the promotion of those, whether it's buying ad time or getting some billboards and things like that. We're trying to do that. That is written into our Good Jobs Challenge grant and will be into our High Road Training Partnerships grant. We have to do outreach to get the folks so that they know about the jobs. Doesn't help if we just pay for training when people don't know about the jobs to come and take the training. So know that we are doing everything we can to try and get some resources to help promote manufacturing as good jobs. So I think that's it. Any questions from workforce? I know it's a lot real fast.
Yeah, you have a lot to talk about. We're still digesting the second sentence here. Debbie?
Well, I was just going to say, we're excited to hear that you're interested in more videos as well, because we're getting a lot more calls for that. And I'm not going to tell anybody no, because they have huge impact in the region. They can be used for the employers at a job fair to show what a day in the life is like, or they can be used to show a student success and how they got into manufacturing. They've got, you can show off your facilities. Right. So we do have a couple underway for San Bernardino Community College District. There's some of their manufacturing partners. So it's exciting. And I think Frank's got another one for the High Desert. And we'll definitely take you up on that, Marianne.
Great. If you are promoting anything like that on LinkedIn or on any of the social media, if you tag the Workforce Board, we have great PR folks that help manage all of that for us. They're very good about sharing things. If you send it to me and you want us to promote it, I can get it over to our person. She's right on it. So Deanna does a great job for us managing. So we are also looking at CWA, the California Workforce Association, has launched a partnership with LinkedIn, and we are looking to be a part of that later this year. The reason it would help you is because there's a whole bunch of stuff in the background that can help drive people to Workforce Board pages. It also can help us mine for job seekers. And she was showing us the data. We can get down to it by zip code. We can see people that say open to work on there and then help get them enrolled in our program. So then you'd have them ready for an OJT. We could be doing direct outreach to them to come for some of the hiring events. We can send them flyers for the free trainings when we've got those. So we are looking at funding that through our regional dollars, doing it in partnership with Riverside sometime later this year. But that looks like it could be a really cool tool that we don't currently use here. So that looks good too.
Thanks, Marianne. We appreciate it. And I want to thank Lawrence too. I didn't properly thank you. We know things are changing quickly, and we're going to actually be starting an email newsletter that will go out to our members on some of these updates. So we'd like to be able to have you all be involved. If you're not a member yet, just go to mfgcounselie.com and the membership page, and you're able to join for free right now. And be sure that you get all the information that's coming out. We want our manufacturers to continue to tell us what they consider most pressing and the things that they want to hear about at happy hours that are coming up. We hope to see you on the 28th, but I also noticed that Steve Harrington is on the screen with us. And Steve, if you can hear us and if you can show your face, maybe. Steve will be talking to us in May about supply chain. And so Steve, I just wanted you to have the opportunity to say
Thank
hi.
you, Molly. And I just returned. I returned from a 5-day trip to Atlanta for a national conference just a couple hours ago. So I'm a little disheveled, and I'm just in a t-shirt and I haven't even combed my hair. But
Okay,
I wanted
well-
to listen. I wanted to listen in. Definitely listen in. And so I appreciate you touching upon that, and really found some of the information that was shared today beneficial. So love hearing what's going on.
Well, thank you everybody for coming today. You're welcome to stay on the line and ask additional questions or just chat with people that you've met online, or tell us what your company does. But we're officially ending the meeting, and we'll stop the filming, but we will continue to be